Sometimes being a friend means mastering the art of timing. There's a time for silence, a time to let go and allow people to hurl themselves into their own destiny, and a time to prepare to pick up the pieces when it's all over. Octavia Butler. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inspired Word Cafe. We're looking forward to tonight's show, and one of the reasons I opened with that quote is I believe in friends, and tonight IWC has some friends in the house. We have our friends from the Kelowna Art Council, who has provided and puts forth some of their own talented people. Kelowna Art Council does a show in town called Our Coffee House, and similar to what we do, except a little different. They focus more on music, we're poetry, and we coexist and work really well together, and our artists bounce back and forth. And we just thought it was fitting to share some of this with our friends at Kelowna Art Council, our coffee house. And Linda Norman and I, she's one of the first people I met when I first came to Kelowna many, many moons ago. So I just think it's fitting. I think success not shared is not success. So anyway, we're in for a great treat tonight. I'm going to shut up and let the artists come up here and do their thing, because they are the Kelowna Art Council and they've got lots of great artists. And the first one coming up, I think, is one of Kelowna's best brilliant storytellers. Yeah, I'll let her come up here and dazzle you with her words. So anyway, guys, put your hands together for Miss Sheila Dyer.
Yes, hello. My name is Sheila Dyer. I'm going to tell a little story tonight about my friends Evie and Andy, and those of you who have gone to our coffee house know a little bit about them. Evie and Andy have been in Kelowna for a number of years now. They are a young couple, and Evie is just recently pregnant. She's in her second trimester, so she's showing a bit. And they came from Scotland. So they've had a lot of very interesting experiences here in Kelowna. Now, we set this little story with Andy lying on the couch. Saturday afternoon, the sun is pouring in the window and he's in this lovely, blissful state. Little snore going on, a little bit of happiness happening inside his body, and he suddenly becomes aware of a strange smell. And he's not sure what that smell is, but it makes him uncomfortable. He rolls over, and after a minute or so, the smell gets stronger, and then he hears and he opens his eyes, and right underneath his nose is his cat. And the cat is eating the biggest, juiciest, most disgusting mouse that he has ever seen. And Andy goes, Evie, the cat's got a mouse. Oh my God, it's gross. Oh, you got to help me, I can't handle it. And Evie from the back room goes, Andy, it's your cat. That was the deal. I'm busy. You deal with it. I don't want to hear anything more. So Andy goes, oh, great Scott, and he picks up the cat, and the cat's going, as they do when you take them away from their prey. Opens the back door, and out the door, and then he comes back and cleans up the mouse. Everything is fine. The day goes on, and Andy and Evie are getting ready for dinner, and they're setting the table, and they're just putting a few things out, and then they hear the cat flap go, thump. And suddenly something goes straight past. What? And then next is the cat going thump, right next. And the two of them are surrounded by creatures running around at their feet like this. And they go, what? And Evie calmly sits down on the chair, puts her feet up on the next chair and says, okay, Andy, it's for you to deal with. I'll finish my tea. And when you've dealt with the cat and whatever it is, I'll make the dinner. And he goes, oh, good Lord. And so he goes over and he picks up the cat, who is angry again because the mouse is over there and the cat is over here. And again, door open, out goes the cat. And he goes over and he picks up, and it's not a mouse, it's a vole, but it's alive. And he puts it in his hand and he goes, what do I do now? It's live, I can't flush it, and I can't put it in the bin. Evie, what do I do? Oh, for Pete's sake, Andy. You go and you find the box, dear. You put it in the box, and then you walk down the road to the field, and you tip it out in the field, and it's done, it's gone. Oh, you're smart, that's a good idea. And he goes off and he does it. Everything's fine. And they come back and they have a lovely dinner. And they sit down afterwards and watch a little bit of television. And Evie, of course, being pregnant, gets tired quite easily, and so she starts to doze a little bit. And eventually decides she needs to just go to bed. So she does. And Andy stays up and watches the rest of the show. And it's dark all around him, and there's no lights on except for the TV. And he hears, and then he hears, and he gets up. What is going on now with that cat? And he looks around. He can't find the cat anywhere. And he flicks the light on the hallway, and there's the cat. And not 4 feet away from the cat is the biggest honking rat he's ever seen. Evie! And before he knows it, he's run down the hall, he's gone into the bedroom, slammed the door beside, he's up on top of the bed. Oh, Evie, I'm so sorry, I can't deal with it, it's a rat, the cat's got a rat, I'm so sorry. And she goes, Andy, calm down. Oh, Evie. And then he starts to tell her. One summer, when he was a young man, he worked on a farm. And he dealt in the hay barns, right? Great big bales of hay, and he was chucking the hay bales from one place to another. And he lifted up this big hay bale and chucked it down for his friend, and then turned around, and in front of him was a great chasm. And in the chasm was heaving with hundreds of rats. He'd never seen so many in his life, and he freaked out. The whole rest of the summer, he couldn't go near the barn. And now his cat has brought a rat into his house. I don't know what to do. Please help me. So Evie lugs herself out of bed and puts on her housecoat and ties it up here, because of course she's got a great big belly, waddles down the hall, and she sees the cat is on the floor at the end of the couch, and she figures the rat must be underneath. What am I going to do? So she goes into the kitchen and rifles through all the cupboards, right? And she finds herself one of those big plastic milk jugs, you know, the ones you make lemonade in with the lid on the top. And she thinks, oh, good, this is good. And she gets herself and she sits down at the end of the couch. She's got her legs splayed out like this, and she's got the jug in one hand and the lid, and she thinks, now, if the cat leaps, the rat will come straight for me and I can put it in the jug. And before she's even finished the thought, the cat goes, and the rat comes straight for her. She goes, and pops it in the jug. And she sits there thinking, what done? That was great. Oh my goodness gracious. Andy, because of course now she's on the floor and she's pregnant and she can't get up and both of her hands are in a jug with a rat in it. Andy, I need your help, dear. You got to come out. Are you sure it's okay? Says Andy is about 6'2". He's a great big hulking man, works in construction. And he sneaks down the hall and goes, are you right, dear? I am, Andy, but I can't get up. And the only way we can deal with this rat is if you pick me up. So he comes over and he picks up his wife underneath her arms like this. She says, okay, I've got the rat. Open the back door and I'll shoot the rat outside. Ready? So he opens the back door, slides it open. She goes out, walks out and goes, 1, 2, 3. And just as she pulls her arm back, she takes the lid off and goes, whoo. And the rat goes sailing over the back fence into the field. Oh, that was pretty good, she says. Turns around to her husband and says, all right, that's dealt with now. I'm going to bed. And in the morning, I want breakfast in bed because, frankly, you owe me. Now, I've got a little problem with you, sir. She says, but I'm looking down, but he's up here. Little problem with you, sir. You're going to have a wee baby. And if you can't handle a rat and a wee little mouse and all that kind of thing, I'm worried about you. So, I want you to think about what it's like to be a daddy. And I want you to deal with this rat situation. You got the cat. You brought it home. You deal with that. Now, you got to deal with this. Good night, dear. And she goes down the hall and goes to bed, and Andy sits on the couch. And he sits there with his eyes open like this for about 2 hours, because every single sound he hears, he thinks it's another rat. Of course it's not, and he goes to bed. So, when you have animals, anybody who has them knows, if there's something to teach a human being, they will do their best to do so. And in this situation, his cat Fleas knew that Andy needed some teaching about taking care of babies. And therefore, Andy learned. Thank you.
The hits continue tonight with our friends from our coffee house and Kelowna Art Council in-house. We have a musician that's coming up that we featured many moons ago in the Inspired Word, so it's really good to have you back. I know you've been busy building and doing things, so I think we're in for a treat tonight and in listening to her music, so I'm going to shut up and let her come in and dazzle us with her music. So once again, I invite you to put your hands together for Miss Sandy McAfee.
The first thing that I'm going to play is something that we always do at the coffee house. One of the things we like to do is welcome people to the space. And I wrote this song for my grandbaby, for his baby blessing prior to his coming into this world. So we were around a campfire with a whole bunch of people in the middle of the woods, because that's where he was born. And we welcomed him before he arrived. So that's what this song is. And I do hope that you'll sing when you... Welcome here. This house is filled with love as we welcome you here. Welcome here. Welcome here. Our hearts are filled with love as we welcome you here. And at the end of day, as light slips away, close your eyes and see these smiles as you drift away. Sing along, will you? And know you're welcome here, welcome here. This house is filled with love as we welcome you here. Welcome here, welcome here. Our hearts are filled with love as we welcome you here. And as the sun does rise on this mountainside, let a smile rise inside as you open up your eyes and know you're welcome here, welcome here. This house is filled with love as we welcome you here. Welcome here, welcome here. Our hearts are filled with love as we welcome you here. Now, since you're all warmed up with some sing-along stuff, I might as well just continue in that. This is kind of a fun little song. Anybody know who Pete Seeger is? Pete Seeger was one of my inspirations for doing songs about bringing community together. He did a great thing called The Power of Song, and just an amazing thing. And call and response was what he did. So this is a song that has call and response in the chorus. I'll sing along the second part. You just basically repeat it. And then the next time around, I'll let you guys do it on your own. How's that sound? You ready? Have you ever felt like dancing in the street, singing a happy tune to everyone you meet? They'll think you're strange, but that's okay, 'cause who gives a darn anyway? 'Cause we are free to be free. Let it go, let it go, let it be, let it be. No need to fuss, no need to fuss, no need to fight, no need to fight. Let's breathe some life into this life, into this life, 'cause we are free to be free. Even though you might be feeling kinda down, bet you can find a way to turn it upside down. 'Cause the pain you find, well, it's inside your mind, and it's up to us to redefine. it go, let it be. No need to fuss, no need to fight. Let's breathe some life into this life, 'cause we are free to be free. We are free to be free. I love those call and response things. They're kind of fun to get people singing along, and because when you don't do cover tunes, you have to have something to do at a party, because everybody asks you to bring a guitar, and then you play all kinds of songs they don't know. So you have to figure out a way to get them engaged, right? So that's what you do. So this is a fun song that I actually wrote. It was written about a moment on St. Paul, and I was outside the bottle depot, and I saw two street people on the side of the street, and they were male and female, and they were having this very, very tender moment. And it was so inspiring to me, and I sat for a long time watching it and just thought, wow, I have no idea who these people are, and I don't know what their story is, but love will find a way througto anything. And I just, so I wrote that song about this. Yep. Well, Frida and Freddie, they're getting ready to marry each other today. Their pastor is Eddie, and he's been ordained by the Church of the Streets and its saints. He looks quite a sight in his bathrobe of red and a Shriner's cap perched on his head. A big toothless grin and a bottle of gin to toast once the vows have been read. Well, Freddie and Frida, their love just gets sweeter each day since the day they did greet. For if life didn't cheat them of all of their dreams, it's unlikely they'd ever meet. For she was a star in a rock and roll band till life dealt a terrible hand. And he was a dog with a wife and a flock of curly blonde girls that they'd planned. But this is a street people's wedding here on the south side of town. And all of the folk that live here have heard, now gather around. Coiffed and dressed in their finest, things that they found on the way. Feathers and furs and fake diamonds, it's a scene you don't see every day. Well, at her peak she fell into a dark hell. She sees things that just are not there. She woke up in a jail cell, confused and alone, soon after a fight with the air. And pages of pills numbed out the loss of all of the ones that he loved. And his guilt lays in the hole that they made to bury all of his beloved. But that's in the past. They found love at last and now stare into each other's eyes. There won't be a flash to capture her gown or his faded tuxedo disguise. She raises her hands and places them light on his face and kisses him slight. Now there's a big cheer and a crack of warm beer and yellowed smiles shining bright. For this is the street people's wedding here on the south side of town. And all of the folk that live here have heard, now gather around. Coiffed and dressed in their finest, things that they found on the way. Feathers and furs and fake diamonds, it's a scene you don't see every day. Well, this is the street people's wedding. It turned out to be quite a blast, for the dumpsters were decorated with things they'd found in the trash. Tinsel and faded green streamers and an old broken disco ball. They danced to Joey playing the harp. A good time it was had by all. Thank you so much. It's been such a fun song to play, and it actually has inspired a very enormous project that I'm in the middle of resurrecting from the back burner. It's been on the back burner for 3 years, and because of my being involved with the coffee house, and for 3 years have built all these beautiful relationships as songwriters and artists and poets and all the kinds of things, I now have all of the resources that I did not have 3 years ago to be able to put this together in a really big way. So thank you to the Kelowna Arts Council for making this possible, because it's going to be fun. Thank you so much.
We're here with Sandy and Sheila, who are both representing our coffee house and Kelowna Art Council tonight. Thanks for being our feature and for sharing a story with us. You guys are wonderful. I love both of your art, and I love that we get to spend some time together, and that you're in the hotspot tonight. You're under the bright lights.
We're under the bright lights.
You're
and
here.
It is
Very
bright.
exciting.
Your time is now. And you have your team uniform on.
Apparently.
So that's good.
You would actually think we planned this, wouldn't you?
I would.
Like,
It's
seriously.
amazing.
I know. It was
Yeah.
I
funny.
walked in and went, "You're wearing blue," and she said, "You're wearing red shoes." I have red shoes too. Oh my goodness, we're in trouble.
I
You think
missed
we
the
planned
memo.
it? Yeah, apparently.
Well, next, our coffee house. I'm going to wear that. It's
Perfect.
on.
You gotta do it.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question, and then you can both kind of take turns answering. Tell me a little bit about how you guys got started storytelling and making music. Whoever wants to go first,
I
go
think
for
I
it.
got started telling stories because I hated typing class. And I learned how to lie really well to my typing teacher so that I would get out of typing class, quite literally. I would pretend I was sick. And the man passed me, I think it was in grade 9 or 10, and he passed me with a 51 just to get me out of my class.
Yeah, just like,
yeah,
I've
so
had
that's where
enough
I
of
think
you.
I started. But I've always told stories.
So, because you're
I
a
just-
liar. That's what you're telling
I
me.
just think I like to mimic people, and I like to just tell stories. Maybe I'm a liar. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm not.
I'm a liar. That's why I ask. Yeah, I got
It's
lots
just
of
so
trouble
much fun
for
to
being
make
a
things
liar.
up. So much better than real life sometimes.
Exactly. Absolutely. I'm on the
Songwriting
same
does that
page.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Creative license.
Yeah, exactly. And what about you? What's your journey?
I am actually I did music sort of classes and things when I was really young, and got a guitar when I was 12 years old, which is actually still that guitar, and
Impressive.
well, yeah, pretty cool. And so I really didn't play. I had kids and did that kind of stuff and raised my kids. And about 45, I just started to kind of pick my guitar out of the closet, and I'd play it a little bit more, and I started writing a song. And I wrote it, and I went and performed it for somebody, and they booked me. And then I went, oh, crap.
It's happening.
So now I have to learn some other songs. 'Cause I don't. So
You just had the one under your belt. Nice.
kind of. And so I had to learn a few other songs, and I started writing, and then they started to encourage me to write more and make a CD, which I did on April 17th, 2009 was my CD release in Summerhill
Awesome.
Winery. So we're almost at the,
Cool.
pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me a little bit about, and everybody in the audience, about our coffee house.
You go.
I'll start.
I
You
know,
can
I
pitch
love
in. We'll
talking.
just talk together. Well, our coffee house kind of started because there were a whole group of creative people who came together and said, "Oh, we need to connect artists in Kelowna." There was a lot of isolation. People who did visual arts were over here, and people did singer-songwriters were over here, and storytellers and poets, and everybody was in little compartments, and we needed to find a place to bring people together so that we could have an evening creativity. And so several evenings sitting around Norman's kitchen table or on a couch or in a coffee shop, a number of people just started to talk and thought, we just need to do something. We need to get something started. And our coffee house kind of came out of that with a group of people who are like-minded, realizing how important it was to have a place for creative people to come, and especially for singer-songwriters and spoken word people to be listened to,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to talk over in a bar or
Yeah, for
or
sure.
a coffee shop.
Spoken word at a bar is challenging.
It's not challenging, it's impossible.
Unless you're me.
Absolutely.
Oh, unless you're you, yes.
And then I
this is
get
Well,
true.
I
I just yell
remember,
at everyone,
the
so.
first time Sandy
Yeah.
came to the coffee house. because she had just finished this tour across Canada where she, slept in her van and had all these exciting things.
Yeah.
And she came and she sang, and you sang, I think, the Street People's Wedding. And
that hadn't been written yet.
No?
I actually wrote. It was one of the ones from the road. It was definitely one of the.
Well, there's one. I remember the one with the grey hairs in the coffee
Oh,
in
yeah.
the coffee shop. It was so funny. And at the end of that, she started talking to people, and before the evening was done, you had a group of people to take a project with, and it was just like, whoosh, she was gone. It was amazing.
I think that happened the first time I met Sandy too. All of a sudden I was like, oh, we're doing a project now.
So wept away.
It's on. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got sort of a non-stop funnel into my brain of creative ideas.
That's good.
And I have to decide which ones get born because they can't all
No.
do simultaneously. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, I
They
had
fight
done
with
that
each other.
exactly that. I traveled for 4 months across the country and with my guitar and just let myself be me. My just kind of discovery thing, and it was super fun. And I went to Nova Scotia and completely fell in love with Nova. I almost didn't come back. I cried as I was leaving the border. I was like, I can't leave. This is amazing. And it's all about community and music and people
Freedom
playing
and meal.
together and loving being together and making
Yeah.
music together, ages, and it didn't matter how much you played or didn't play.
Right.
And so when I came back here, I felt literally starved for that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I started hearing. So it was quite some time, actually. It was a good year after almost by the time I'd been back. And and then all of a sudden I found out about the coffee house, and I was just like, hey, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the listening environment. I'll create that anywhere I can because I think it's
awesome.
important.
Yeah, it's a really,
the
really
coffee
great
house has
space.
connected so many people.
Yeah.
It is extraordinary how many people are connected through the coffee house.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't know. And we've had people come in and they've been like, they've arrived the night before from Montreal, or I've just come
Australia,
back to Kelowna, or
or-
Australia, and they've just literally happened to be in town and bingo that end up at the coffee house,
Yeah.
and they get connected with people. It's been pretty neat. It's been
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I love going. And I thought for sure I would never get invited back after my first time, but you guys really liked me, and I was allowed to come back.
Oh my God. And we love when you come.
Yeah, I've made a lot of great friends there, and it's really
love when you
exciting.
come.
Raul,
Raul.
I know, of course, Raul. Of course.
Well, you're not.
We
Well,
love
you
to
were there
see.
first. You were there
You
first.
can't. No.
Actually, Raul was one
Everyone
of
loves you,
Raul
Raul,
was
don't
one of the
worry.
people who sat and talked about the creating Artists for Creative Alliance. He was one of the first people in the core group. So you were a very big part of that, sir.
Okay, we're gonna get to our really serious, super fast dating style questions.
Oh Lord.
Okay, ready? If you were a vegetable, what vegetable would you be?
A sweet pea.
A sweet pea. Aw, that's the most perfect answer ever. Okay, can you top it? Which would you be?
I'd be an eggplant.
An eggplant.
I like the color. I like that it's shiny. I like that it's voluptuous.
Yeah.
And I love it with Parmesan cheese and olive oil.
Nice. You're a cannibal as well. Good. Good to
I
know.
totally am.
Okay, what is your idea of the perfect way to pass time?
Hanging out with my boys. I got
Nice.
teenage boys, and I still love hanging out with them. It's my favorite thing.
Mine is making music with other people, just
Yeah.
hanging out and jamming and hearing that brilliant moment that comes when everybody melds together and you hit those notes and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I've just gone somewhere.
That's
It's amazing.
awesome. Awesome, you guys. One last question, super fast. If you were stranded on an island and had to choose to be stranded with either Raul or me, who would you choose?
Sandy.
Sandy. Sandy was not enough. Did you hear
I'm
that?
sorry. I'm so sorry.
We're not even
I
like
can't.
enough.
I can't answer it. I'm afraid I can't answer. It's too difficult. Too
Oh,
difficult
no.
a question.
It's too hard?
No, too hard. Way too hard.
too
Way too hard.
serious?
Too serious.
Why can't we have you both?
No,
hey,
it's-
there's
it's-
two of us. Okay,
Yeah.
you get. I'll take Aaron, or
That's
I'll
good.
take Aaron, and
Let's
you
go.
take Raul, and we're both. We're in this
stranded
together.
and the two of you are coming.
You're both.
Oh
coming.
my goodness. Okay, you can find all of us at our coffee house and inspiredwordcafe.com. Thank you guys again for being my guests today in the interview and for featuring with your wonderful music and stories. That's a wrap. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.